Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. In this video today, we're going to talk about two different popular tactical flashlights. On the left, we have the Thrunite model TT20. And on the right, we have the Olight Warrior 3S. Now let's start with the price point of these lights. And if we look at the Thrunite, it's currently retailed at $89.99. And at the time of me filming this video, you can pick this light up for $69.95 on Amazon, plus there's a 10% coupon off of the $69.95. So you get a pretty good price out of this flashlight. Now, if we look at the Olight Warrior 3S, the current price for this light is around $119.95. So I definitely give the win on price to the Thrunite. You have Firefly mode and Moonlight mode, so that's basically the same term that describes the lowest setting. Now, if I push and hold this button, you can see that the Thrunite comes on to 0.54 lumens, so it's about half of a lumen. And on this mode, it'll last 64 days on that Firefly mode. Now, if we look at the Olight and we push and hold, you can see that it comes on to Moonlight mode. That is twice as bright. That is 1 lumen of Moonlight mode. And it still establishes 55 days of runtime. So if I have to pick one of these lights as far as which one I prefer for the Moonlight mode or the Firefly, I'm going to go with the Thrunite. I think that the purpose of having an ultra low mode is excessively long runtime, and 64 days, that's 9 days more than what you get on the Olight. So again, I give my edge to the Thrunite on Firefly. Now, if we bump these up to low, and let's do this with the Olight. Both of these lights are now on low. On the Thrunite, we get 31 lumens on low. And this will last 90 hours. That's 3.75 days. So almost 4 days of runtime out of this Thrunite. Now on the Olight, you can see that it's a little bit less bright. It's only 15 lumens, but you get a longer runtime. You get 130 hours of runtime. That's 5.41 days. So if I have to select one of these lights for which one performs better on low, to me, it's not about brightness at this point, it's about runtime. So I gotta go with the Olight on low. I just think that the longer runtime is better, and I think you get enough light for that low setting. Now, if we talk about the Thrunite for a second, this one does not have preset brightness levels. This one is ramping. So you can go infinite from low all the way up to high. Now, right now you can see both lights are on high. And if we look at the Thrunite, we get 1,468 lumens. That'll last 190 seconds. That's 3.1 minutes before step down. Then it steps down to 654 lumens for an additional 235 minutes. That's 3.91 hours of runtime. Now, if we come over to the Olight, we have 800 lumens on high. This will last 166 minutes. That's 2.76 hours. And then it'll step down to 250 lumens, and it'll stay there for 39 minutes. So in total, on the Olight, you get 3.41 hours of runtime. Now, as you can see, the beam patterns there, we are brighter on the Thrunite here. So when I have to decide which flashlight do I like more when it comes to the high setting, I really got to be honest here and give the edge to the Thrunite. It's a brighter light, and after step down, it's still brighter, because after step down, we go to 654 lumens versus 250 lumens, and 3.91 hours versus 3.41 hours of runtime. So now let me go ahead and turn these guys off, and we're gonna just go straight to turbo, okay? So we're gonna go straight to turbo on both lights. You can see that the Olight is playing the proximity sensor game there. On the Thrunite, we get a total of 2,526 lumens. That'll last 150 seconds. That's 2.5 minutes before step down. Now, after step down, it goes down to 610 lumens, and it'll stay there for 237 minutes or 3.95 hours. Now, in total, before and after step down, if you look at the total runtime, we get 3.99 hours of runtime. Now, when we look at the Olight, we start at 2,300 lumens, and it's the exact amount of time of 2.5 minutes before step down, which is fantastic. So that's kind of a wash here as far as how bright they are before step down, how long I should say. And then it'll step down to 800 lumens. It'll stay there for 160 minutes or 2.66 hours. Then it steps down a second time to 250 lumens for 39 minutes. Now remember, when I talked about the Thrunite, I gave the total runtime is 3.99 hours, including all the step down. Same thing here on the Olight. We get total runtime is 201.5 minutes. So that gives us 3.35 hours of total runtime on the turbo setting. So when I give the edge to one of these lights, I have to give the edge once again to the Thrunite. It is a brighter light, and it has, again, 2.5 minutes on each light before step down. So we get 2,526 lumens before step down. And then after step down, we have a brighter light. So it's just fantastic, and longer run times. I got to give the edge to the Thrunite on turbo. Now, both of these lights have a strobe, and it's fantastic. So let me see if I can demonstrate that. So there's going to be a strobe warning here, folks. Let's turn the lights on, and we will triple press on the Olight. And now let's triple press on the Thrunite. So there is the strobe. Both strobes are absolutely fantastic. Both are very disorienting. I think maybe I would go with the Thrunite on the strobe setting because it's a wider, floodier beam. I think it's a little bit better of a strobe. So if we look at turbo on these lights and we look at distance of throw, we can get 258 meters of throw out of the Thrunite and 300 meters of throw out of the Olight. So I got to give the edge to the Olight on throw. Now the next setting is Candela. 16,650 on the Thrunite versus 23,000 Candela on the Olight. So my edge for Candela definitely goes to the Olight. Both of these lights are impact resistant down to 1.5 meters, so it's kind of a wash there. And both of these lights are IPX8 waterproof down to 2 meters, but I gotta give the edge to the Olight on IPX8 rating because the Thrunite has this charge port cover. I've never been a big fan of that. So there's no moving parts or anything like that on the Olight to contend with, no covers or anything like that. So I got to give the edge of IPX8 to the Olight. Now both of these lights operate on a 21700 cell that has a capacity of 5,000 milliamp hours, so it's kind of a wash on the batteries. Now the weight of the light, the Thrunite comes in at 6.15 ounces. The Olight comes in at 6.09 ounces. So when you look at weight, I got to give the edge to the lighter light, which is the Olight. Now, if we talk about the length of the lights, we have 136 millimeters on the Thrunite and 139 millimeters on the Olight. So the edge in length goes to the Thrunite. If we talk about the diameter of the flashlight, we have 26 millimeters on the Thrunite and 26.2 on the Olight. So the Thrunite is a little bit thinner in diameter, so I'm going to give the edge there. Now let's talk about charging these lights. The Thrunite uses a USB-C cord, and like I showed a second ago, there's that charging port, where the Olight has a magnetic charging. So it uses the MCC3 charger at 2 amps. I love the magnetic charging, so I give a heavy edge to the Olight on charging. Now both of these lights do come with a holster. The Thrunite holster is very basic, very effective. It gets the job done, but the Olight did a little bit better job on their holster. It's a more quality holster, so I'm going to give the edge to the Olight as far as the holster is concerned. Both of these flashlights have dual direction pocket clips. They are both absolutely fantastic. However, I gotta give a slight edge to the Olight because of the thickness right here, and that's where it's gonna ride on your jeans. The Thrunite is just a little bit thinner right here, so it's gonna be a little tighter on the jeans. However, I do like this part right here where this is a little bit wider to get the thing inserted. The Olight is a little thinner here, and again, wider right here on the top, thinner on the top. So my personal opinion, not that big of a difference here, but I gotta go with the Olight on the pocket clip. I think it's wonderful. Now, if we talk about the lenses of these lights, and you look at the Thrunite, you get a glass lens. That's tempered glass. You have a smooth reflector, and then you can see the LED in there. If you look at the Olight lens, you get the TIR optic lens. So that's a plastic lens, and then you can see that black portion is the proximity sensor. So it kind of comes down to a personal preference on that one as far as which lens you like more. Me personally, I like the glass, so I'm gonna go with the Thrunite on that. Now that leads us to what I just mentioned, proximity sensor. The Thrunite does not have a proximity sensor. The Olight does, so clear advantage to the Olight as far as proximity sensor. And again, what that does is if your light is on a bright setting, you get too close to an object or an obstruction, the light will dim, and then when the obstruction clears, the light will come back to the brighter setting that it was on. So very cool. Now the next thing, I want to talk about power level indicators. Do these lights have something that will tell you what power level indicator, what power level you're on? The Thrunite does not. The Olight does. So when you turn the Olight on, you can see on the left here, you see these dots, you have the power level indicator. And then on the right, you have a battery level indicator. So as far as power level indicator is concerned, I've got to get the edge here to Olight. The Thrunite simply doesn't have one. Now the next one is battery level indicator. Now we just talked about that on the Olight. I showed you it's got 4 little dots, basically 25, 50, 75, and 100%. You can see clearly in real time how much battery you have left. The Thrunite does have an indicator that will tell you the status of your battery. So you have colors. You have blue, which means you're good. Then it'll turn red. and then it'll start flashing red. So you do have a good battery level indicator on the Thrunite as well as the Olight, but my personal pick as far as battery level indicators, I got to go with the Olight. It's just a little bit easier to understand. The next setting is lockout mode. So if I pick up the Olight and it's turned off, I will push and hold this button until I see moonlight, keep holding until moonlight goes away, and as you can see, we are now locked out. So it's one push of a button to lock this light. Now unlocking it is identical. We just push and hold until we see moonlight mode and the light unlocks. So the Thrunite has a similar thing. So what you got to do is you got to push and hold until you see Firefly. Then you got to let up and then push and hold again until Firefly goes out. So it's effective, but it's two pushes of the button versus one. So it works good, but I would give my edge to Olight as far as lockout, simply because it's only one push of the button. I know that's getting down to very minute details, but it is what it is. Now to unlock the Thrunite, it's the same. You just push and hold until you see Firefly, and then you can unlock the light that way. The next thing I want to talk about is the switches themselves. Let's take a quick look at the Thrunite switch. You can see that that is a metal switch. That side switch is metal. It's very durable. And if we look at the Olight, we have a rubber switch. So when it comes to side switches, I gotta give the edge to the Thrunite here. It's just a better quality switch in my opinion. As far as durability, things of that nature, I just think that the metal switch is stronger. Now let's talk about differences in the form of being able to operate in a normal mode versus tactical mode. Now big edge goes to the Olight here because you have two modes of operation. So let me explain what that means. Right now, if I push the tail cap halfway, we can get like to medium, and then if I full press, it goes up to turbo. So I got two things that I can do. That's in normal mode. Now, if I deep press and then I push the side switch, you'll see that it changes to a tactical mode. So now half press gives me turbo, and then deep press gives me strobe. So this light has two different modes of operation. I like that. Now the Thrunite does not do that. You have one thing that this switch will do, and that is it'll take you to turbo. That's it. You don't have two different brightnesses. It's just on or off, turbo. That's it. So again, the edge on the two different modes of operation goes to the Olight. Now memory mode. Both of these lights have a memory mode. So they'll come on to the last mode that was accessed before you turn the light off. So let's go down to the lowest setting on the Thrunite, and if I turn it off, turn it back on, it comes back to the lowest setting. Now let's take a look at the moonlight mode or the Firefly. Will it remember that? Unfortunately, on the Thrunite, it does not remember Firefly. It'll remember the last mode access prior to Firefly, Strobe, or Turbo. Now, if you do the Olight, on the other hand, if you have Firefly or Moonlight mode, it will remember that setting. So I got to give an edge to the memory on the Olight because it will remember Moonlight mode or Firefly. Very cool. Now let's talk about the body of the flashlights, and let's talk about this traction right here. If I squeeze this thing really tight, I don't really get too much traction. The Olight, on the other hand, it's got a little bit more aggressive traction on it. So I got to give the edge to the Olight as far as body traction. Not that big of a deal, but maybe if you're in a wet environment or mud or you got gloves on or something like that and you need more traction on your flashlight, got to give the edge to the Olight. Now magnetic tail cap. This one obviously does not have a magnet because it's got a tail switch. You can tail stand both of these lights. But as far as the magnetic tail cap, the only one that has it is the Olight. So, of course, the edge goes to the Olight as far as magnetic tail cap. Let's talk about the tail switch again. Like I said before, when you push this one, you go straight to turbo. And when you push this one, depending on which mode of operation you're in, whether it's normal operating mode or tactical, you can do many things with this. You can go half press or deep press. So you can go from medium to turbo to strobe, depending on which setting. So I give the edge to the Olight as far as the tail switch and what you can do from it. So folks, that's all I have for you today on this video. I think both of these flashlights are absolutely fantastic. I think that either one that you purchase is going to serve you very well. $69.95 is the price currently, plus they give you 10% off. You could almost buy two of these for the price of one of these. Now, the Olight, as you can see, is packed full of features, more features and stuff like that. But again, both of these lights are wonderful. If price point is important to you, the Thrunite, you are not going to be disappointed. It's a fantastic light. So again, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you out. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video, share this video. I will put links in the description box in case there's anybody out there that's interested in any of these lights. And with all that being said, folks, I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.